Hello, this is Dr. Latasha McElwain. I am giving a little synopsis for my course at Southern New Hampshire University, Human Services, Organizational Systems. It's the nonprofit course, HSE 320. So today I am giving an overview of the discussion for week two discussion question. Basically, we're talking about nonprofit organizational culture. So, with that being said, there's reading in chapter one that you're going to go over talking about the needs for a learning culture. And it's in the ebook, Developing and Learning Cultural in Nonprofit Organizations. So basically, exploring in the chapters there, you will realize that, you know, what about the culture and the necessities of having a culture within a nonprofit organization. So consider different organizational cultures you have been exposed to through perhaps school, your work, your participation in some other institution or volunteering, religious situations. A lot of times, just putting all this together, then coming to the discussion prepared to share relevant experience examples from your experience, and also being able to relate to organization culture in a nonprofit organization that you were involved in, or at one that you have read about online, or that you know about through friends or through family or through a parent or a husband that works or a wife that works, partner that works. And then specifically, you can actually basically give us some, when we're doing the initial post, you kind of want to address the few following things here that we're talking about, basically describing the organization culture in your situation at the agency, and then also explaining what type of culture could impact service delivery in the nonprofit environment. And then asking, do you think the organization culture from your own example could occur in a for-profit environment? Why or why not? So this is a good example of kind of giving more insight on what you know, and then bringing together what you have learned or what you've read, or even what have you have gotten from your other classmates. And it goes on down to talk about, you're going to have to respond to your classmates. But I think for the most part, you can also decide to, know what you know, add to it what you feel could be helpful, and then also be able to make some recommendations. So when you're responding to your classmates, you're thinking about doing recommendations to actually improve the culture. You can talk about that also in the first part if you would like as well. But talking about improving the culture, talking about different things that can promote or can be adopted for the culture to make a difference in the organization. Basically, be sure that you're able to cite everything, of course, as you're thinking through this. But I wanted to kind of just talk through the fact that a lot of you have been involved or may have been involved, or know someone that's been involved in some volunteer experiences. Church, when it says religion, church, kind of what goes on within the culture, what goes on within the culture of the volunteer experience that you may have had, or even an organization. Now, some people may not have worked for a nonprofit organization. So I will also adapt this assignment to let you know that you can actually talk about the culture that you're experiencing, the culture that you're currently used to kind of talk about it, and then maybe go about it the other way, switch it around a little bit, and say why this culture is in this for-profit that you're working for currently, because you don't have any nonprofit experience, and rather you feel that culture would work in a nonprofit. So you can kind of flip it up a little bit, but still get credit for this assignment, because I want to hear everyone really think outside the box, think inside the box, outside the box, around the box, and everything else. But I want to make sure that everyone feels like, oh, even though I don't have an experience, I can still listen to other people's experience and maybe even give some feedback on those and some input there, but then also tell what my current experience is in the place that I'm currently working, which is not a nonprofit organization. So I want to make sure that everyone gets a feel for, what they can do. And then even if you're like not working in a nonprofit organization, you're working for in a for-profit, then how can we flip that around where what you see in the for-profit would or would not work in a nonprofit, or what you see in the nonprofit, vice versa, would or will not work in a for-profit, so want to give some depth to this discussion question and make sure that everyone feels comfortable with actually, talking about their experiences and talking about, what, if it's someone else that experienced it or what they have, been exposed to or what they have just observed by being in a setting, So a lot of times when we are thinking about the culture of a business and an organization, a lot of times, I've seen in more nonprofit world that it's more of a family, and it's more of a, being all on the same page, being very transparent, being very into, what it is that we're trying to do as far as carrying out the mission, as far as making sure our clients are being serviced, making sure that, we are spending things the way it need to be spent, or we are using our dollars the way we're supposed to be using our dollars, and we're not, being wasteful and things like that. So, there's a lot that goes into understanding the culture of a nonprofit organization. So I hope this little conversation, this little snippet is just helpful for everyone. Again, like I said, even if you have to alter the assignment just a little bit, as long as we're kind of hitting those points where we're still talking about a for-profit and then a nonprofit, or talking about the fact that we could work in a nonprofit and then how it would look if it was a for-profit and whether it'll work or not. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out for me. Again, Dr. Latasha McElwain. Just let me know if you have any concerns. Thanks so much for listening in.